Hello, my good people. Welcome back to my channel. Oh my goodness, it has been such a weird and long weekend for me. I don't know, it's just really cold out and I am just in a mood where the only thing I want to do is sleep all day and not do anything. So I am baking because this is part of my therapy, but also I really want cheesecake. I made the ultimate mistake last night, the ultimate mistake of going to Target while hungry. To be fair, I thought my Target was going to have their Starbucks open, but it's still under renovation, so it was completely closed, and I went there starving. And you should never go to the grocery store hungry, yet alone Target, because you're going to buy everything that you can think of. This is my second time going to Target spending over $100 on primarily junk food that I know for a fact I am not going to eat. I have so much junk food in my house right now. It is overflowing, like doesn't fit in my cabinets, and I know I'm not gonna eat it, like because as most of you already know, even though I bake a lot of you already know that I lost over 40 pounds during the pandemic. Now I gained a little bit back because I was traveling during the summer and then also during the winter months, so I gained a little bit of the weight back, but for the most part I'm eating relatively healthy outside of the few things that I bake. And when I do bake, I try really hard not to eat it all, try to share it with people, etc. So long story short, all those treats that I got in my house, I'm about to donate because I cannot eat them. It makes no sense for me to buy them, but when I am there, I try to tell myself, oh, well, maybe get yourself this one thing, and then I'll go, okay, well, maybe 2 treats and just limit it there, and it never works out. Anyways, I digress. As I was walking through the freezer aisle, I stopped. There's Ben & Jerry's on sale. Oh no, I don't buy one, I buy 2 of them. And if anybody follows me on the gram, you know I have like an ice cream addiction, and every once in a while I'll clean up my fridge and throw out at least 10 gallons of ice cream. It's actually ridiculous. Continue to walk, and what do I see? I see my fave, frozen key lime pie, and I'm like, Denisha, you know, I forget the brand, but it's the one brand that they carry like in Target. They have the key lime pie and the chocolate pie. If you go to Target enough, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I love those key lime pies. Those key lime pies don't even have that much flavor. It's straight up sugar and sweetened condensed milk. Like, that's exactly what it is. So I looked and I stared, and then right underneath it, Cheesecake Factory cheesecake. Now, I am pretty sure I bought it. It was a small slice, so I said, okay, portion control. As I was waiting for my Uber, I proceeded to eat the cheesecake while I was in the Target because I was starving. And I will tell you, the cheesecake it's the hype around it. It's totally worth it. Now, I don't know why I've never been to a Cheesecake Factory. I've never been there. I've never actually eaten there. Everybody talks about the place. In my mind, I'm like, okay, it's like a chain restaurant, and everybody talks about the cheesecake. And for some reason, I prejudged it just because everybody talks about, I'm from Brooklyn originally, and everybody loves Junior cheesecakes, and I hate their cheesecakes. So I felt like the same thing was gonna be the situation with the Cheesecake Factory, but I prejudged it. So tried it in Target. Mind you, I've had some other Cheesecake Factory pastries, not the cheesecake, because everybody knows I go to Starbucks. And I love Barnes & Nobles, and for some reason, very specifically, the Starbucks that are in Barnes & Nobles, they'll have more pastries because people usually sit there, eat pastries, drink coffee, and like read. So if you want like good Cheesecake Factory pastries, go to a Starbucks and a Barnes & Nobles, you'll get it. So I've had some of their pastries before, but this was my first time eating their cheesecake. And by far, it was magnificent. Magnificent. Their crust, okay, I am a cheesecake snob, and this is why I don't like junior cheesecake. I like cheesecake that has a good amount of crust when it comes to the crust and the filling ratio. Good ratio of crust and cheesecake, but also their crust has a unique flavor. It was nutty, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And I was like, oh, this is so good. I need to have a cheesecake of my own, which kind of works out because if you watch my probably 2 videos ago from now, my marble cake, if you watch that video, I ran out of some of the supplies, went to the grocery stores. Right now I have a gross amount of cream cheese in my fridge that's going to go bad. So this kind of worked out in my favor. Nonetheless, I was eating it and I was like, what is this? So this morning, I was like, okay, I'm not making a crust. I am not. I have the pans for it. I could make a crust, but I've done a cheesecake completely from scratch before. Again, when I was in college, because that's when I used to bake a lot back in the day. It takes up way too much of my time. I'm not gonna do that. But I was trying to figure out what the flavor was. So I tried to find the recipe. I saw a couple of copycat recipes. It looked like they picked up on what I picked up. It was nutty, so they tried to put like almonds or different kinds of nuts in the actual crust, to get the flavor. And some put vanilla wafers, which I also taste like vanilla. Like, it's not just graham crackers in their graham cracker crust. That's the secret behind the crust. It's not just graham crackers. So I was like, that makes sense because I taste that as well. But then I was like, wait, it's Target. They have to have a label. What the hell is in the label? So I read the ingredients in the label. So the filling seems to be like a standard traditional cheesecake filling. However, the crust and the filling also has palm oil throughout the entire recipe. They use margarine that has palm oil in it. They make their own vanilla wafer. They call it vanilla crumbs with palm oil in it. They make their own graham crackers. Again, palm oil in it. It is the palm oil. You heard it here first. I didn't see anything on the internet about this, but I'm telling you right now, it's the palm oil that gives Cheesecake Factory cheesecake the nutty flavor. So in theory, I was like, well, I found out today, but yesterday, I would have tried to just buy some palm oil and maybe like put some on a pre-made crust to like get to where I'm going, and maybe next time I'll try that. But for now, just know it's the palm oil. But everything else about, and their vanilla wafers in their crust, but everything else about their cheesecake is standard. So looks like I'm making a classic New York style cheesecake filling. It's not gonna be New York style cheesecake. I'm not going to make the crust from scratch. Like, I just do not have the patience. I spent all last weekend in the kitchen. I don't want to spend all day in the kitchen. So I've had my ingredients out. They have been cooling. They've been coming to room temperature. I got my tea because it is cold. I'm freezing right now in my house. I'm gonna warm myself up and I'm gonna start making this cheesecake and I'm gonna let you watch. So here we go, guys. Okay guys, so the secret to a flavorful cheesecake is you want to have a light and airy filling that also is flavored with really good spices. Simple, classic spices in my opinion. So I'm just taking 2 room temperature eggs and I'm separating the egg yolks from the egg whites. And what we're going to do is aerate both of our egg whites and our egg yolks. And in that process, we will emulsify both components so that way air can get into the mixture. My pro tips is always think 7 minutes in heaven. It takes about 7 minutes to aerate any element that you're putting into your electric stand mixer. So right now, I was just whipping my egg whites until you can see soft white peaks. Then I put my egg yolks into my mixer, and again, I just started to blend. Now you'll know your egg yolks are ready when you see them go from a bright yellow color to a very pale yellow, almost white color. And towards the end of that mixing process, I added in my sugar and a pinch of salt, mainly because I wanted my sugar and my salt to dissolve, so that way I didn't have a grainy type of mixture that would go into my filling. Now I'm just taking 2 room temperature 8-ounce packages of my cream cheese. And the ultimate goal here is to make sure that my cream cheese gets really, really smooth, because you don't want large chunks of just cheese in your cheesecake. So I took my cream cheese, I added in about a half a cup of sour cream, and I started to blend that just to smooth out that mixture. Scrape down the sides of the bowl when I can to help smooth it out. And I also added in about 2 tablespoons of some lemon juice. I added in about 1/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla, and just kept blending until I got that mixture as smooth as I could. That was the goal. And then I switched from my whisk attachment to my paddle attachment, because at this point you just need to mix the 3 components to get the filling that you want. So first I mixed in the egg yolk mixture and got that mixture as smooth as I could. And once that was done and ready, I folded in very, very lightly my egg whites mixture. Now you want to fold in this mixture because you want to avoid mixing and over mixing, because you will then take out all the air that you work so hard to put in. So you want to fold, that's key. And then also, to make that pre-made crust have a homey feel, I just sprinkled some cinnamon on it, and then I just layered on top my filling, and this was the final product. Whew. Alright guys, I just finished making my cheesecake filling, and if I do say so myself, it looks really pretty. Anyways, I have an amazing idea to make my life easier. It's just because it's semi-homemade doesn't mean we can't elevate the situation. So, the best way to get an even bake on a cheesecake is to cook it in a water bath. So I had this idea and it worked out perfectly for me. I have right now a chicken roaster. So, I realized that if you just put the rack down and you put the cheesecake on top of it, I will be able to pour the water underneath on the rack, and when I put it in the oven, the steam will come up and help bake the cheesecake evenly. I won't have to worry about water getting inside of the cheesecake because it's on a rack. And this overall will be like the easiest way to get it in, to get it out. Most people don't use a rack, I feel like. They just use like an oversized pan and put the cheesecake inside and pray to the gods that water will get inside the cheesecake. And this actually is like pretty neat hack that I thought about. So while I was making the cheesecake, what you guys didn't see is that I had some water boiling in the oven. So I'm going to grab that, put a couple of cups of water, of hot water, already hot, inside of this chicken rack. So the thing is that you don't want to put cold water in, because when you put it in the oven, you don't want to wait for the water to get hot and mess up with the bake time and the evenness of the bake. Already have the water hot. If you don't, boil water, you can just put water in the microwave, whatever, same difference. It just needs to be at least warm to get you where you need to go. Then you pop it in the oven. So I'm about to do that really quickly. Pop this in the oven. I'm going to bake this, just because it's a smaller cheesecake, for about 40 to 45 minutes. Honestly, once this gets a nice golden brown on top, I'll probably pop it out, and then I will let it cool for room temperature for about 15 to 30 minutes, and then I'll stick it in the fridge for at least 3 hours. Now, by the time it's done cooling, it will be dark out because it's winter time. So either I'm gonna pop one and it'll be different lighting. I'll try the cake then, or maybe tomorrow morning, we'll see. To be honest with you, I don't want cheesecake for breakfast. I want it now, so I'll probably come back tonight, but we'll see how I feel. Anyways, on to finishing this cheesecake up. Okay guys, I'm nervous for this cheesecake. To be honest, it needs probably another hour in the fridge, but I've been waiting for so long and only had an apple and a granola bar for lunch, so I can have some cheesecake for dinner. It came out beautiful, no cracks in it. I cooked it to where it was brown enough. I didn't want it to be too brown, but I swear as it was cooking, it smelled like a homemade marshmallow was being made in my house. Like you can smell the sugar caramelizing in the cheesecake, and you got hints of that cinnamon that I put on the graham crackers. So I'm really excited for this. So I'm about to cut into it and try it out. Now, my only beef with pre-made pie crust is that it's really hard to get out the pan. So let's, fingers crossed, hope that I can get a good slice out of it and then try it and see what happens here. Okay, you guys, I got a decent slice out. You can see it looks perfect on the inside. If you look at that pie, and also perfect here. Oops. It's a nice even bake, and honestly, whipping the egg whites and the egg yolks made the cream cheese filling so light and fluffy. It's absolutely amazing. It was my first time trying that technique, and it is amazing. I'm gonna dig into this slice, but hold on, let me get a nice good picture of this first. Un momento, guys. can see it at a little bit of a better angle, I'm going to try this cheesecake. It looks amazing and the filling tastes so good. Hold on. Like, it's just so light. I don't even know how else to describe it. I'm really glad I put a little bit of cinnamon on that crust. Because the thing is, even though something is like homemade, you can always do a little extra to elevate it. And that hint of spice is really, really good. I typically don't really like sour cream in my cheesecakes, but it's grown on me in my adult life, and I truly think that tanginess of the sour cream complements the cream cheese really, really well. And something about that hint of lemon juice too, it just like takes it over the edge. Honestly, this recipe is 10 out of 10. I think it's a classic cheesecake recipe, to be honest with you. I think the technique is what set this over the edge. I do wish I had a little bit of palm oil to put on the crust to give it that nutty flavor, like the Cheesecake Factory cheesecake. However, for this crust to be store-bought, this is absolutely fantastic. 10 out of 10 recommend. Even if you don't use this recipe, the technique of beating the egg yolks and then the egg folding in the whipped egg whites after the fact to keep the cheesecake light and airy, I think it's amazing. Highly recommend. Anyways, I'm gonna go watch the rest of my Sunday soaps, eat the rest of this cheesecake, and call it a day. So if you like this content, if you like the recipes that I post, please, please, please like and subscribe. Here's my shameless plug. It just helps the YouTube algorithm if you like and subscribe on my videos, and also comment, but that's up to you. So I would definitely appreciate the support. But anyways, have a happy Sunday, and please try out some cheesecake. Peace.